Hi, Kerry Fiorelli here with Beverly Hills Legal Services. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about different kinds of trusts. This is not going to be an exhaustive explanation, just sort of some basics. So you may have heard of a revocable trust or a living trust, which is kind of an anomaly because really your assets don't go to your loved ones until after you die. And it should really be called a dying trust. But a revocable trust means you can change it. I had one client who has changed her trust like 13 times. Every time she gets into an argument with her daughter, she changes the trust. When she makes up, she puts the daughter back into the trust. And yeah, it's a very malleable type of instrument, but it does not provide any asset protection. There's a misnomer out there that revocable trusts provide asset protection. It's not true. And for that simple fact, you never want to transfer a vehicle into the revocable trust because if you caused an accident using that car that's in your trust, then anybody who you hit and gets a judgment or settlement against you can invade your trust, take your property, take your house. Not a good idea. Okay, on the flip side is something called an irrevocable trust, and that's very difficult to change. You almost need a court order to change an irrevocable trust. However, an irrevocable trust does provide excellent asset protection. In a way, it's somewhat of a legal fiction because what happens is you take your assets out of your own personal estate, out of your taxable estate, and you actually give it away during your lifetime. So really, an irrevocable trust should be called a living trust, but it's not. The danger with an irrevocable trust, if you don't have a proper provision in your irrevocable trust, is that your loved ones could actually evict you from your family home if you don't, again, have the correct provision in the trust. Because now, whoever you give your property to, through the irrevocable trust, they equitably own and legally own your property. Now, a couple other trusts I want to talk about. It's called a Medicaid trust. A Medicaid trust is a trust that you could use as an irrevocable trust, again, to take your assets out of your trust so that you can become eligible for Medicaid or Medicare benefits. Now, there's a 5-year look-back period, so if this is something that you're going to be contemplating in the future, you want to be able to qualify for Medicare without, the government looking at your asset picture and saying, oh, this person has too much money, and therefore they don't qualify for a Medicaid or Medicare plan. So again, you want to plan now. Do not procrastinate if this is something that you're thinking about. The Medicaid trust is an irrevocable trust, which again takes your assets out of your trust. Now, you can have a provision in the trust that gives you some ability to control the assets, but be careful because again, you want to make sure that you will be eligible for Medicare later. Finally, I want to talk about something called an ILIT. It's called an insurance funded irrevocable trust, an ILIT. Now, an ILIT takes those death benefits out of your estate so it's no longer taxable when it goes to your loved ones. A great gift to your loved ones. Again, it is an irrevocable life insurance trust, IL, irrevocable life insurance trust. Again, very difficult to change, but it takes the ownership of that life insurance policy out of your hands, out of your name, and now your beneficiaries, when they get those benefits, are tax-free. Now, again, this is an irrevocable trust, and before you set up an irrevocable trust, make sure you have proper provisions in the trust that can protect you. Again, whether it's a revocable trust or an irrevocable trust, it has to be funded properly, and you can talk to us about what that means in a further conversation. Again, Kerry Fiorelli here, Beverly Hills Legal Services. You can reach us at area code 424-249-0059. Our office is right here in Encino. I prefer to meet with my trust in person.